matter.
Okay.
It's just wins. Wins give you
I
points.
think that's a flaw in the system. They need to look into
the
it.
later in the system you go, like the higher in the tournament you go, the more points you get for a win. That's the system right now. Might be a flaw. That might just be Benelux hopium talking that they change the system so we don't look as bad as we are right now, because let's be honest, both of our teams are 1-3. Normally we have one team that's really competitive and then the other one goes 0-6. I prefer that over this because I'm starting to feel a bit of depression coming, but it can still turn. It can turn around this game. We have 7am with a risky draft. They haven't really worked for us, but hey, if you're 1-3 down, you need to try something. And if you're up against a 3-1 team, that seems to be almost a shoe-in to lock in knockouts after this game, then maybe giving up that pole composition again and try to break it again might just work the third time, you know? You never know.
Or we might look stupid for letting it through multiple times in the draft.
Nah. It's like...
But of course, if you can put Entropiq behind in this game, they have only 2 damage dealers, and those are poke champions. So
yeah.
If you can get the Jace behind, or either the Kai'Sa already takes quite some time to get online in this build, is really late on the scalings, on the power spike. So that is a possibility for 7am on one item to just take over the game. Try to get every dragon as soon as it spawns. Try to take every herald as soon as it spawns. Because those are the easiest ones to just welcome to.
This draft is just the embodiment of it. At first you don't succeed, try again. So if at first leaving the pole composition to the other teams doesn't work, try again. And you only look like a fool that if you do it 3 to 4 times and you lose 3 to 4 times, but if you now win, then everyone's like, oh, it was possible. It was just mis-executed, you know? So that's what we have to pick ourselves up with. If this is the first time joining our stream, we are the Elite Series, we are the Benelux representatives in the ERL system. We are very much the smallest ERL, and we are living up to that name. But we are following Group A and C through the lens of the Elite Series, and that might be a little bit depressing right now, but we still have hope. You never know. It's not over till it's actually over. So we'll see if that ever happens. If you want to follow the other groups, because we're following Group A and C, if you want to follow Group B and D, !streams in the stream rather in the chat, and then you can see the other stream, Universe TV, that covers those groups. For now, this group looks all but played. If Entropiq wins this, they lock knockouts, and both the LPLOL and the Elite Series will just only have sadness at the bottom of the standings. But if 7am wins this, they keep the entire group alive.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the White Dragon 7am game if 7am loses this one.
I am actually, because then most of the time they... like 2 things can happen. Either they handshake that they're just gonna have fun and play champions they really like to play, or they try really hard to end on a positive note. And I've never been disappointed by one of those games at EMEA Master Plains. I know regionally, when teams are out of the running, we are sometimes disappointed by the level of play we see then, but I think at EMEA Master Plains it's such a huge moment for every player's career that they always try their hardest to actually make it count. Julbu, first gank in the top side on this Gragas, does some damage, but that's a Malphite that went to ward at exactly the right time because his lane was pushing forward, so the Gragas for now doesn't really find anything from that gank.
Some extra gold from the first strike he has. Mesma goes down and Errol is dancing around with Jackies, but he loses out. And yeah, that's just
I don't think
free
this
kill.
is a dance you want to dance, and that's first blood going over to Jackies.
It's a tango with the devil as Errol dies from that gank. Doesn't even up to use the flash, knew he was dead anyway.
Yeah, and the sad part is, because Gragas showed topside, they already knew that they could go for the play, and even though Julbu was sprinting for all he was worth, his body sadly isn't as athletic as he wanted to, so he couldn't get in range in time. The exhaust is ticking on the Tristana, but they're playing for the kill. Flicker has the reset. This is the first kill for 7am, but sadly the ignite is the thing that steals it. Kingpin gets the kill. And
but it's good to see. It's an active bot lane for 7am. They get the 2v2 going. And even Julbo is on the bot side of the map. Maybe even looking for a die of Kantos. No summoner spells, so he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he has no flash, no cleanse. As long as they can juggle this aggro, maybe finally 7am get the bot lane ahead first. They have the flash engage from Julbu. They have a free kill for Flicker. And in the past games, we've seen 7am completely fail in the bot side, but now they are ahead.
It's a good start for 7am, even though they lose out with Errol in the mid lane. That gank wasn't even enough to get the flash out of the Cassiopeia, so he still has a one for the next, and then they get 2 kills on the bot side. Not resulting in much if you look at the gold lead, but it's something that they can build upon, and that's something that's been missing for 7am. a lead on the bot side of the map. Usually it's Zergot finding a good opening for his team, but now it's a 2v2 from 7am.
Is that Tristana flex towards Flicker that you wanted to see? Because we know he can be a very aggressive AD carry. And
we already said it in Champions League. I really hope that Flicker is opting in flexing it to the bot lane, because if the matchup allows it, it can be really good. And as you see with the Kai'Sa, there's not enough early game damage. It's the build that you go Nashor's Tooth and Static Shift. So only when you get those two items, you're a threat to be reckoned with. But now it was Flicker and Kingpin realizing, okay, we have a lot of bursts in the early game. We have the Ignite against the Exhaust cleanse lane. We should look for this. And they engage onto Denik, who cannot cleanse the Ignite, can only exhaust Flicker, and did it a bit early, where the explosive charge was enough. Flicker also, as the
they're
flash
looking
forward.
for the ganks. Zenith Blade already connected on Kantos. The damage needs to follow by Flicker because Sissy is also arriving. Kantos is already down though, and Flicker, even though he's low, he can just walk out of this gank as well. And all in the mid lane in a 1v1 against Jackis. Jackis wins out on that one. So sadly for 7am, it's a 1-for-1 in the end, because Jackis finds a good play in the mid lane.
He used his flash and a roll, tried to use a petrifying gaze, but couldn't reposition it in time with his own flash, dying, losing 2 waves worth of minions under his turret. So this Cassiopeia is really put behind in the early game, and this is unorthodox, because usually you see a really stable mid lane from Erol, but now he's being put on the back foot, and it's not something we often see.
But we have a 2-0-1 Tristana in the Rift. We have Flicker set up for success, and we saw that the analysis of the group as well was to really fight heavy on the bot side, because 7am was going to take a lot of those fights, and sadly for 7am they lost all those fights in the past, and for some reason that was enough to keep them out of most of the games. Now the state is completely different. Topside isn't really winning because, okay, you're up in losses with Renekton against Malphite, but that is to be expected. And in the mid lane, the stable mid laner Erol for 7am suddenly finds himself 0-2 behind almost 20 losses even. So it's a weird game state to be in for 7am, but maybe that's good news because they're 1-3 right now. So the game states they had in the past, they really didn't help their win chances. Maybe this does. Maybe having Flicker on the Tristana already on those items way sooner on his power spike is exactly what 7am needs.
And I'm waiting for level 6 on the bot lane of 7am, because that might just be enough to pull the trigger again. Kingpin is looking with the Hex Flash. He's very active. He wasn't even behind enemy lines trying to find a good Hex Flash engage. And with Zichi, the Poppy on the top side of the map, and Julbu currently on the bot side. Maybe the Dragon is something they can look towards too. Currently moving.
The scariest part is, okay, Flicker is set up for success. He's 2-0-1. Cassiopeia is already a champion that comes online pretty slowly. You really need to hit those 1 and 2 item power spikes where it becomes harder to engage on the Cassiopeia, and that the damage threat is actually there. But then you look at the composition of Entropiq, and in the end, Solar Flare goes right. They do hit the Zenith Blade though, but do they have enough damage to burst down Jackis? Reset for Flicker. He's just gonna go for it, and he does get the kill. He jumps out even, because Zichi didn't try to flash over the wall to interrupt it with his W. 7am, they find an aggressive play in the mid lane, and they punish Jackis.
I for sure thought Flicker would die for a 1v1, and that might be even worth it, because Jackis was so far ahead, but he even has both summoner spells to even get him out if he was in a lot of trouble. That's a good start for 7am, and the aggression that they had in the bot lane now transitioning to the mid lane, creating a lead out of nothing for Erol, because now he can get caught up. He caught up with farm, excuse me, as he's only 6 minutes behind.
Started this Rift Herald on Vision, didn't scan out the ward in the back of the pit, so Entropiq is pretty confident walking back up. They have vision control over the pit, so they know when the Rift Herald will be faulted by Julbu, and now Ziggy can just take it over. Sadly for them, they didn't get the Rift Herald out of that kill in the mid lane. The good part is you have Kraken Slayer on Tristan already, 2 long swords as well. As long as you don't overstep here around the Rift Herald, you do have a win condition to play around. That win condition this time is Flicker, who finally is arriving at this stage. I saw him tipped by some people as a player to watch because he's such a kill-heavy AD carry, because of his average kills in the Benelux. But that we haven't really seen that yet at this stage. With the ulti from Zichi doesn't really hit anyone. Zenblade also goes wide. The ulti just to buy some time. Herald does open up with the damage, but they at least take the Rift Herald, and that's a win because Entropiq was playing for that for so long, and in the end they still have to give it up.
But I still want 7M to go for the early dragon. It's been there for 10 minutes, nobody touching it. And if you want to create an early game lead, getting those dragons early is a good one to start.
Definitely when your bot lane is so far ahead, and you have the shove that Tristana inherently has with the explosive shot. So maybe just push out the wave and go for the dragon, as you said, would be a good play. Erol in the mid lane took a bad trade by against Jackies after he kept his flash in the first gank, didn't even use his flash, and died a second time, so he is on the back foot in that 1v1, and it's starting to become an issue. 9 lost its behind, and a Jace that's ahead of the curve. That's a scary proposition to play around.
Yeah, but only 9 minions ahead after he solo killed the roll twice, even almost 3 times.
Okay, Flicker looking for the 1v1 against Kanto. Still has his heal even, so he just confirms that kill as if it's nothing. Doesn't use any summoners. Flicker is onto a 4-0 start. Zergoth flashing out of Robocop's ult. That's not what we want to see in the top side, but at the bot side, that's what we're looking at as Benelux.
But they still get the dragon. They still get the dragon, even though Kantos died. That's because Errol took such a bad trade earlier that he's not able to be there with the team. That Entropiq still get the dragon, and that is all they need. They can just scale it out, of course. They don't want to go too late game with 2 poke champions that are behind of the curve, because a Flicker just needs one more opening like that to get a second item going, and this Tristana is becoming really strong and even a problem for Entropiq. And the 0-3 Kai'Sa.
I'm just happy for Flicker that he finally gets to show his playstyle and gets to show why he was so feared in the Benelux, and maybe also targeted in the first game 7am played. But sadly, it's not really making a huge difference in the map and the game state. You still have 2 plates down in your mid lane, 1 plate down in the bot lane. But now with the Rift Herald, they can give Flicker even more money if they can play for this tower. Need to be careful because the entirety of Entropiq is there. Flicker is just out of position now. He tries to jump, but good flash interrupt by Zetchi. That's a free kill. The shutdown goes to the Poppy, and that's why that champion was so scary into the composition of 7am.
Really well played by Entropiq, getting Flicker. Flicker not using any summoner spells. Shutdown does go on to the Poppy, so not the best champion to have it on. Even the depth charge invested, even though it wasn't really needed.
Erol's in trouble, good engage. No, the Prince engage is just not quite in range of the tower. And Erol flashes out, but Poppy is also there. The Bomba goes wide, and Kingpin trying to get back into that fight. Trying to save Erol because he's get hunted down by Robocop. Can't really do anything for the mid laner. Jackies gets that kill. Erol came closer this time, let's just put it that way. And it's only 270 gold, so it's fine.
That's some copium if I've ever seen it.
We need all the copium we can have. So if anyone has any copium reserves in chat, just send them over to the Benelux. We need that ASAP. We need that in our system because this game is playable. This game is winnable. We just have to start believing.
And we need to start using that Rift Herald. It's not being used on the plates, and where Julbu currently is.
This is Zergoth.
Zergoth is looking for the
flash, but he's just fighting.
They do get some turret plates in the bot lane, but not the turret yet. But with the plates falling, maybe they can get it afterwards.
Flicker just needs to be careful that it doesn't take too much damage and gets interrupted by Zitchi again. Gets the plates and they need to get out. It could have been way better, but Entropiq was ahead of the play. Very good play by Zitchi, the jungler, to flash in, interrupt Flicker. And Flicker sadly lost that check. He had his flash and his heal, but he buffered his jump already, so it didn't get out. And that resulted in the fact that the Rift Herald only gave 2.5 plates, as it does, instead of just pushing the entire tower, which was maybe a possibility on that play. But the good part for 7am is they still got the Rift Herald off. The bad part is they are behind in gold. Out of nowhere, the gold lead, even though they had the Rift Herald, is in the hands of Entropiq, and that is due to Jackies gapping the mid lane as he is right now. 1,700 gold ahead. In the jungle, you're also 500 gold behind. Maybe due to using the futures market a bit too much as Julbu and having to pay off that depth. But in the bot lane...
But also getting that huge shutdown on Flicker.
Yeah, of course. But in the bot lane, that's what I was going towards. There we have a slight glimmer of hope. 800 gold lead for Tristana. That's a sad part of being a 4-1-1 Tristana, looking at the losses, being a slightly behind, and then being like, okay, I'm only 800 gold up. Could have been way more. But it's still good because they have tower pressure. Maybe get the first tower as well on Flicker. That actually happens. And he feels confident enough to walk up even though Robocop is standing right there. Needs to be careful though, because if that back is finished, he can just get bursted.
And that's when he backs off. Knows that he always has a rocket jump on
Run,
to
boy,
the
run.
unstoppable force.
Run. It's Malphite, he's angry. Okay, but now
Good stun
Zergold.
from Zergold, but he's alone under a turret, but he clears a mini-wave really fast, so nothing can go on the dive shenanigans that were being set up by Entropiq. And this game is getting a lot slower than expected with 7M, but Zergold is behind enemy
Oh,
lines.
he pops the Dominus. He needs to play for the kill on Jackie's. Does he get it instantly? Then he can interrupt it. And a good knockback by Zichi. Jackie's doesn't even
Julbo, look at the explosive
have his summoner spell. Julbo can try with the ulti. Dashes in. Denik is low. He can just knock Denik back, I think, if they want to play for a kill. But they'll just take enough from having the priority in the top side, from getting Jackie's out of there. It's everything they got out of the play as well. But they have to take it right now because it's the small things that might get them back
Zergold
in the lead.
on the bot side of the map, so it's a bit split for Team 7M. On the one side, they want to go for the second Rift Herald, but also the second Dragon spawning might be something Entropiq is looking to. Maybe establish some vision, find out where Zergold exactly is, as this Rift Herald is gone. And Zergold almost face checks two people of Entropiq.
That could have become dicey, even though he still has the slice and dice. Robocop walking up to poke him a bit. Flicker already used his W, so that means the go sign for the Malphite. He has to flash out. Still has the heal though, but he's trying to clear the wave. Tower goes down in Entropiq. Easy as it gets. Just take down mid tower and now have very good map state for themselves, where they have control over the mid side of the map, have vision control in the enemy jungle, just can go towards that dragon, play for a second Drake, but can take their sweet time and allow Jackies to push in the bot tower as well.
And so there's a lot of trades of towers going on. A quick reset from Joe because he had that Rift Herald. Was maybe even considering popping it on the top lane to get an inner turret, but with the return of Robocop, it's really hard to get that one, especially when Earl has no mana. It's an almost impossible task. As the second dragon does go to Entropiq, so they are on track of getting a soul this game.
I would have been happy for 7M to trade the second dragon for some other play around the Rift Herald, maybe play for some towers, play to get mid tower down to create more instability for Entropiq, because you have a Tristana that can really dish out damage quite fast, and if you play for the jump reset, it's kind of scary. The sad part is though that Entropiq was in position around the dragon and Flicker got called in to defend the tower, jumped over the wall, and instantly Robocop didn't doubt himself and just jumped over.
Oh, Errol is not being collapsed upon, even though Robocop was in the bush and had the ultimate available.
Robocop also has a TP to TP behind Flicker, who is flashless, so it's a dicey situation for 7M. I don't know if they realize it. Cleanse from Cantus is used. Flicker will play forward with the rest of his team. Rift Herald does give them a tower, but now you just need to disengage, because Robocop can just look with his ulti that's coming from cooldown.
There's not too much damage on the side of Entropiq.
Oh, Zergold is actually looking for the burst again. The bomba from Yulbu is out and Zichi is the target. First kill is found. Robocop, his ulti came back at the exact time he needed it to try to keep 7M from getting more kills. Huge damage coming in from Jackie's that TP'd in as well. Errol can't overstay his welcome here in the mid lane, but 7M, they get a kill and they get out.
They got the mid lane turret with the Rift Herald, but it's only one kill. Well, there was pretty much everything invested.
One more hit and Errol's dead. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, that's just, I don't know what's happening. Errol is a shell of his former self. He just takes all the poke and then dies.
And it feels like just that the Benelux has almost no experience playing against those poke compositions. Underestimating time and time again how much damage they can do, and they can just fly in with the killer instinct to finish off the job.
It just feels like this is a tournament where, like, every single game that wasn't the first two, it's always a case of things going really well for certain players and then other players having a complete off game. And it happens every game. Like, the consistency is just gone. The moment Zergold is carrying, bot side is on fire. Now bot side is carrying, and out of nothing, Errol is just completely out of his normal way of playing and just completely out of this game. And this happens times and time again. We saw it with Genk as well, where normally they have a very stable composition. Oh, Zergold pops the Dominus because he knows he has to fight his way out of here, but I don't think in the 2v1 he can actually do that much. Gets knocked back by Jackies, tries to get the kill either way. but it's 400 gold for that Jace that was already far ahead of the curve and now got some extra gold in his back pocket. Julbu is now very aggressively playing forward, needs to be careful. Kantos hits the W because it's set up perfectly, and now it's Flicker. He needs to carry for his team, but it's so hard with the TP coming in, with Robocop still having his ulti. He can just flash forward with the ulti, doesn't even need the flash, connects it up until Errol and Kingpin. Kingpin over the wall, Errol takes some damage from the second W, and now it's Flicker trying to get out because his entire team is already dead. He takes some poke in the back, and I think Entropiq will just take the Baron from here and take the entire game.
And the Kai'Sa, who started 0-3, is now 4-3, a 450 gold shutdown bounty. And right on time. I feel this is exactly how it happened the last time when 7M played Entropiq. There is one bad team fight, bad coordination. They lose the Baron, and only 2 minutes after they lost the previous game against Entropiq. So for now, let's hold on to that base. As you look at the goal lead that Jackies has in the mid lane. A 3.2k goal lead. And also the goal lead that Flicker had is completely gone. As Kantos is back up there with 9.5 against a 9.6 from Flicker.
It's so hard to see as well as Benelux casters, because it's not like there's nothing you can be proud of. There's a lot of things that happen where you're like, oh, okay, as a minor region, it's good to see that Flicker and Kingpin actually finally won their bot side, and we might have something to play towards. Maybe this is the game where they can actually keep themselves alive in the group and take a game of Entropiq, and then it's always this moment in the game where you just get outclassed, and then the one outclass turns into the next and goes from bad to worse, and suddenly you're looking at a completely losing game state, and it's just trying to survive against against the Baron buffed minions barreling down your lanes. Robocop walking up, his ult is gonna come out of cooldown, and Julbu on the Gragas didn't really find the impact he maybe wanted. He is a full damage build, so maybe if he can get Kantos or Jackies, they can make a difference, but Entropiq is not leaving anything up to chance with the Baron buff. They just push in the secondary mid tower, and then they back, making sure they don't make any mistakes. Maybe Kantos overstayed. No, Kingpin with the solar flare doesn't really even try to fire it after him, and Entropiq just take a tower and they recollect themselves around the dragon. That will be the third dragon of this game, and it's going to be really hard for 7M to contest that one.
Yes, and the whole Benelux region looks like the only region that really wants to play on side lanes and go for 1-3-1 compositions, but every other team just draws full team fight compositions and just outplays it, as this is yet another engage from Entropiq.
What a combination of the Flicker. He has flash and heal, but he's completely surprised by the combination of Entropiq, and that should be a wash for them. They get the carry out of there, they get the front line out of there, they still have the Baron buff, and they're just gonna finish this game. It's not quite as dominant as the first time it happened.
I mean, it's still within 3 minutes of taking down the Baron. I think Entropiq is making a really good case for the knockouts.
It's not a case, they're in the knockouts. They can
still make a case. Out of knockouts even.
They can still make a case to try to go for the first place, because if they win this one, they're 4-1. And if they win their 1 versus 1 against Foot, they at least have a tiebreaker for the first position. Errol uses the Petrifying Gaze, completely misses it. Flicker just used his heal forward with a jump, trying to do something, but I think 7M knows that it's too little too late. The game is all but played. Julbu on the Gragas. What can he still do? There's a lot of low HP bars. Looking for it, going forwards, and actually Entropiq can't quite finish the game. Julbu then chasing, slow hits from the Q. Denik re-engaging onto him. Good stopwatch there to buy some time. Zergold is there as well. TP back out from Robocop. TP back in is the play. But Zergold looking for the kill, going forward. The ulti, 2 kills go over to 7M. Huge shutdowns given over, and the game is not quite finished yet.
Errol was sure that the game was done because he left, but he reconnected.
Sometimes you just have to hard reset your mental, you know? But now it's a new game. You just got back into the game. Julbu using his Q as a slow bot, along with Kingpin getting the Zenith Blade, and then Errol TP'd in. He can maybe get some kills for himself here. First one is already down, second one might follow it. Is this the chain in from Entropiq? We see Jace TP in. No, well, he is really, really strong. First kill going over for Flicker, but I don't think he can win this 1v1 against Jackies. And I was hoping for some Dark Aram tactics to save the Benelux, but sadly, it was Jackies. And he's now 9-2 on his Jace, and he definitely had the damage there to turn that fight around.
At least I got some gold back, so maybe that's enough to have a more competitive team fight, but with the Dragon still on the table for Entropiq, that's where they will go. Get Soul Point, and within 2 minutes the next Baron will spawn, and most likely we will see the last team fight around that Baron, or even just no contest on the Baron, and then Entropiq will just push down the base from 7 AM. And it was a okay defense from Team 7 AM. But it just felt like Entropiq was too tunnel vision of getting kills instead of ending the game.
I want to give praise to 7M because we are the Elite Series, because it's this ESL and we are the Benelux region. But I think we need to be honest, and Entropiq kind of threw that one at the end, and then still TP'd in Jackies to clean up the fight and not lose too much out of it. And with Zergot poked below half, flash forward, that should be an easy kill. Then it doesn't really doubt he's engaged there. Oh, it should be an easy kill, but the first kill goes to 7AM. The second one as well. There's resets maybe for Flicker to play around. The Petrify engage buys some time, and Flicker is just trying to fight his way out of this game. He isn't done yet, but he has to back. The pokes are landing. Kantos, every W that lands just gives him that reset on it. This W lands as well. Flicker doesn't sidestep it, so he can go again for Kingpin. Now the sidesteps actually come through, and the game isn't over yet. They just need that HP bar to go back up. And Errol maybe can just clear the wave. How are we still in this game?
I have no idea. I think even Team 7M doesn't know why they're still in this game. 7-4
But as long as there's a Nexus, there is hope. Right?
Surely.
Okay. Whew. I think that Copium from chat is finally catching up with me.
30 seconds until the Baron spawns. A very important objective for Entropiq to take cleanly. They either want a good team fight or they want the objective free.
It went from really convincingly locking in the knockout stage and me talking about maybe contesting foot for first place to a bit of a fiesta, a bit of a oopsie doopsie, and a bit of a, I even called it a chain int if I'm honest, but in the end Entropiq thought they could catch 7AM off guard again like they did in the first game, but this time they just didn't quite have enough in the tank. They are set up around the neutral objective with a Pokemon that is ahead though. Flash forward from Kingpin, looking for that Solar Flare onto the Jace. He does connect the Zenith Blade, but nobody's in position to help him, so he's dead already. And then Flicker is just looking to cut the minion wave because he has to cut his losses. Jumps out, the ulti from Errol hits no one, and this should be an easy Baron for Entropiq and probably, finally, their 4th win in this tournament.
And you can't say a lot about 7M, but at least they're trying. Kingpin flashing forward, trying to surprise Jackies who had no flash. But there was no one to follow up on that engage, and it makes him look silly. But it is also Zergot that was ulted out. As
Robocop just with the ulti, and Zergot, even though he's flanking over Vision, might still get onto that Kantos, who is stuck in the pit right now.
Not
Flicker should be the target for Entropiq,
buffer.
but this is not a great fight for Entropiq because Zergot is on Kantos. Never mind, Kantos has a huge shield and a lot of damage, so the Crocodile gets turned into a new pair of boots, and then 7M needs to walk out. They even have more boots to give over if they want some snake leather, because Errol is slithering away. The Baron buff went over to Entropiq as expected. Maybe in the staggered recalls they can find something. Yulbu is fishing with the AP Gragas. And the only thing he gets for his trouble is some abilities to press, but nothing else.
Yeah, it felt like Entropiq was playing such a clean game after the early game. Their mid-game transition, they went back to their fundamentals, set up vision control, poked down Team 7AM, got 3 objectives off of it, and then completely blew it around the base defense from 7AM, as 7AM is now caught behind enemy lines as they are in the jungle, and they're all already lost half of his HP.
We are literally watching a shooting range unfold right in front of us. Flicker is almost down. The next W will seal his fate if he can't sidestep it. Zichi wants to be faster than that, actually engages, gets the stun, gets the buckler toss. That's a dead Tristana, and that was the last hope of 7AM to do some damage back, because their role is also getting hunted down and burst down on the top of your screen. So in the end, Entropiq, even though they make a misstep in the base of 7AM, and even though Zergot trades 1 kill onto the Jace, they do get to finish out the game, and they do get to lock in the knockout stage.
And we saw that ulti from Robocop, but it doesn't even matter now. The game is really over, and Entropiq, top 2 in their group, challenging Foot maybe for that first spot, although they have to play a lot cleaner than they showed at the end.